Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over my top 10 prediction for the Week 14 matchups of college football. It's championship weekend, and for most teams in my top 10, they've got a championship game coming up. They're going to have to deliver, and in every playoff contender except for one who has their position locked in the college football playoff, they got to deliver and win their championship game. But there are a couple of teams that I believe are locks. Whatever they do is going to get them in. But this is the top 10 predictions that I have for this video, and let's get right into it. First, the number one seed, of course, it's going to be the Alabama Crimson Tide, coming off a 52-21 victory over the Auburn Tigers in the Iron Bowl. They had such a, it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was poor, but not such an overwhelming first half, at least from what I watched, and then second half they pulled away from Auburn. Tua showed that Heisman poise that in the last few games, I don't know, you can say it showed against the Citadel, but then again, it was the second half. Last couple of weeks, they played LSU, they played Mississippi State, then they go to play the Citadel, and then Auburn. So, Tua, he's looking pretty good right now. Each game, he's delivering a lot more. Their offense is delivering a lot of points, putting up 52 on their arch rivals, the Auburn Tigers. I believe Alabama's a lock at number one, and I believe that they are the first lock that has a conference championship to be in, unless they lose by some crazy amount, like Ohio State beat Michigan 62-39, which my boys pull it out. I said in the last video I was an Ohio State fan. I previewed the game. I predicted Ohio State would win a close game. Wasn't close at all. 62-39 the final score. But let's get right back into the rankings. Number 2, Clemson, of course, undefeated, regular season at least. They're going on to play Pitt. I think that they just need to take care of business, and it's not going to be too hard. Pitt, a number 24 team who coming off a loss at Miami. I do not believe Pitt can pull off the upset just like they did in 2016. I believe Clemson will pick up the victory and to secure their spot in the college football playoff, coming off a win over their rivals South Carolina by a score of 56-35. There's my second prediction at the 2 seed. At the 3 seed, Notre Dame, the team that doesn't have a conference championship, they're a lock, coming off a win over USC 24-17 at Los Angeles, and they don't travel to Los Angeles well. In the first half, it really showed. JT Daniels, the true freshman for USC, put together a pretty good performance, but couldn't follow that up in the second half. They scored a touchdown late, but it was too little too late. They made some crucial turnovers, and Notre Dame really, I don't want to say they didn't deserve to win that game, but if it weren't for those two crucial fumbles inside the 30, I do not think Notre Dame would have won that game. If Notre Dame doesn't get those two fumbles, they don't win that game, and they do not make the playoff. Number 4 seed, I've got Georgia, coming off a win over Georgia Tech 45-21, over their rivals. Georgia, they have a big game in Alabama. They need to take care of business against the Crimson Tide. They win, they're in. They lose, they're out. Simple as that. Georgia, they're looking for revenge. I don't think they're going to get their revenge. I think Alabama's too good this year. It's going to have to be some crazy upset by a 4 seed or in the national championship for them to lose. I see it being Alabama and Clemson once again, part 3. But that's for another video. But I do not believe Georgia can pull it off. But I think they're going to pop it into the number 4 seed. Number 5, Ohio State, coming off a huge win over Michigan, 62-39. All the momentum went in their way. They played their best game of the season against the Wolverines. Big win for the Buckeyes, putting up 62 points on the best defense in the nation. I don't know if they're still the best defense after that performance, but the best defense in the nation, putting up 62 points. And if they wanted to score in that final drive, they would have been able to put up, in my opinion, 70 points. If they would have been able to do that, that would have been crazy. That would put Ohio State above Georgia to number 4. But still, a huge win. Their defensive line showed they had great defense. They won on defense, special teams, offense, coaching. They won in every aspect of that game. Urban Meyer came in with a great game plan. The players executed on offense. Olave for the Buckeyes came in, had a couple of big receptions, had the punt block. And speaking of special teams, that punt block returned for a touchdown. That shifted the entire momentum of the game. Defense, 2 interceptions on Shea. I believe one was Shea Patterson, one was the backup. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but it is, the Buckeyes pulled off a big win. And that's the kind of win you need. That's the win the Buckeyes needed if they wanted to get into the playoff. They needed a dominant win over the number 4 team in the country. And they got it. And I believe they move up to number 5 over top of my 6th team, who stays at number 6, Oklahoma, with a win over West Virginia, 59-56. They have let up 40 points in their last 4 games. Oklahoma's defense is, I don't want to call them trash, because they have been not the best this entire season. Their defense has had faults everywhere. They have had cracks, lines, and everybody's exposed them. Kansas, they're getting Les Miles, and Puka, their running back, they could not stop him. Kansas puts up 40 points against Oklahoma, a 6th team in the country. I don't see Oklahoma jumping to number 5. Their defense has just been a big issue, and I think Oklahoma stays at number 6 just because of their defensive woes of the past 2 weeks. But don't get me wrong, their defense has come up with some crucial moments. If their defense doesn't return those 2 fumbles by Will Grier, one was a huge mistake, but if they don't return those 2 fumbles, they don't beat West Virginia, and they're not at number 6, and they're out of the playoff, and they're not even in the Big 12 championship. So their defense has come up with big plays, but their overall performance hasn't been the best. At the 7th seed, UCF, a team with a chance to actually make some noise if they can get some help. In my opinion, doesn't matter. They're still having 4, 5, and 6. It's going to be Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma. It's not going to be in that order. I think it might be in that order, but if it's not in that order, that's still it. That's still going to be it. I believe UCF jumps up to number 7, a couple of spots with their win over USF, 38-10. Losing Mackenzie Milton, that's a big loss. I don't think it should affect what they have done. But now with a chance to make some noise, if Alabama does what they're supposed to do, if they beat Georgia, if Ohio State gets upset by Northwestern, if Oklahoma loses to Texas, UCF jumps into that 4th spot. That would be utter chaos if that could happen. So UCF, you guys still have a chance. Don't lose hope, but you need a lot to happen. So I wouldn't count on it, but still, your prayers of making the playoff are still intact. Number 8, I got Florida moving in with a win over Florida State, 41-14. Yes, they're a 3-loss team. I believe that they are the best 3-loss team in the nation at this point. Some quality wins and some dominant performances over some good teams, beating their rivals, Florida State, 41-14. I think Florida is one of the top 10 best teams in the country. You can think that or not, but what spot they were in the committee, and with the top 10 losses by Michigan and LSU and Washington State, UCF moving up, Ohio State moving up a lot, moving up some spots, Washington State dropping out, Michigan dropping down. I think Florida jumps up 3 spots to that number 8 spot, and in that number 9 spot, Penn State with a win over Maryland, 38-3 in their final week. And Penn State, this is good for Ohio State. If Penn State moves into the top 10 like I expected that they will. I believe Penn State, they're a good team. Trace McSorley has led this team. They've had a couple of bad losses to Ohio State and Michigan State sprinkled in there, but this is good for Ohio State. Knowing that they beat Penn State, and Penn State's in the top 10, that gives Ohio State 2 top 10 wins. Even if Michigan falls out of the top 10 this Tuesday, that's still 2 top 10 wins for Ohio State, because Michigan, a 4 team, no, I don't think that they're going to fall out of the top 10, but we'll discuss that in a couple of seconds. But that gives Ohio State a big win over Penn State, 27-26. That puts 2 good wins on their resume. I think Ohio State would like Penn State to move in. I think they do. At the number 10 spot, I have the Michigan Wolverines. They're not at the top 10 just yet, with a loss to Ohio State, 62-39. Their defense, one of the best in the country. I don't think they're the best, and they showed that against Ohio State. But they're one of the best defenses in the country. They just hadn't been tested like they had against Ohio State. Now that they've been tested, I think that they go into their bowl game and they dominate. Whether it's the New Year's Six Bowl and the Rose Bowl, whether it's not a New Year's Six bowl. I think that they dominate in their bowl game, and I think that they are in the top 10, meaning 9 and 10 are both teams Ohio State beat, and I think Ohio State fans are really gonna like that. But it could not happen. We could have 3-loss LSU here, number 10, with that 7 overtime loss, 74-72 to Texas A&M. But we'll have to wait for Tuesday to see what happens. But that's going to be the end of the video. On Wednesday, I will have a ranking recap and ranking reaction to the rankings, whatever happens. So yes, I do believe that those are going to be the top 10. Wouldn't be surprised if a couple things were shaken up, but that's gonna be it for the videos. I will have a ranking reaction and recap on Wednesday, and I will also on Thursday have a recap of championship weekend, as the Pac-12 championship is on Friday. Not that that has big playoff implications or playoff implications at all, but it could have some playoff implications. But so on some things, it's not. I don't think it's going to have any playoff implication. But, that's going to be it for the video. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos. And stay tuned for Wednesday and Thursday with recap and reaction videos of the rankings and championship weekend. Until next time, again, thank you so much for watching this video.